official who predicted that on October 13th that they would appear in the sky. So, yeah, I mean, me and a lot of people I know are still continuing to look, and I certainly hear a lot of people talking about it still on the street. I hear people all the time, do you hear about that UFO? And everybody. I think people are excited about it. I think people are excited to hear and actually see for themselves instead of hearing what some balloon expert has to say about it. People are seeing for themselves, and I think people are excited because wouldn't that be cool to know that we're not alone and that we can learn so much by expanding into, other parts of the solar system and other parts of the galaxy? How cool.
I know that, I've seen a lot of the comments made on several of the videos that some people feel this is Project Bluebeam. And to the best of my knowledge, I think Project Bluebeam is what they call a false flag, where the government stages a false, invasion or something to scare the public into the New World Order. And that's basically the extent of what I know regarding that. But I know that theory is being discounted a lot. I see on the comments. I know that, the comments I've read, people are saying, look, I do realize that, a few balloons were released, by accident by the lady, at the school or whatever. But everybody has a sense of, red flags going up. That's not the whole story, though. And you know what? People are smarter than that, and they're catching on. And, like we've been discussing, that it does take a lot to stop a New Yorker in their tracks to, just stand there for over an hour staring at the sky. And was stated at the beginning of the show, that what was stated to have been released by accident by that mother of the kid was just between 8 to 12 balloons. Well, I do believe that footage was caught on tape by someone, and it is up on YouTube. However, what Humo filmed is completely different, and I don't even know what to make of his footage. All I know is that I'm not completely sold on this theory that those are balloons. I don't believe that those are what they're trying to pass off as, oh, sorry, it was our balloons from our party, and, a cluster of them got released. Well, no, it was between 8 to 12 small balloons that were released independently of each other that rose very quickly into the atmosphere, and you can see that in the footage. And they're spreading out and they're going away, and you can tell. And I think that's why people, in my opinion, stopped and looked, because we've seen balloons in the sky enough times to know what balloons do when they're in the sky. The wind takes them; they rise in altitude very quickly. And I'm getting the feeling that what everyone was seeing in New York was something that they just couldn't quite put their finger on, and they just didn't know what they were looking at, and it was something different. And I think that's why they stopped. It was different from what they, normally would be seeing if it was balloons.
Yeah, and
I want to say that at some point.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say about the whole Project Bluebeam thing, I don't think that it was Project Bluebeam at all, because if it was, then I'm sure Fox News would have been better prepared before they actually filmed the craft in the sky at night, because originally they did that, and they were like, what are we looking at? Oh, it's not a star because we zoom in on it, and there's other lights next to it. And then the next day they start putting out all these, reports that, in my opinion, are attempting to dumb people down. And I think people are just, easily buying into this, because a lot of people are just used to having everything fed to them, and they're, reluctant to leave their comfort zone of this reality. And I don't know, I think it's about time people start questioning.
Definitely, and I think that's what's actually happening is people are questioning. People aren't going to allow the networks and the media to feed them the balloon story. People know better. Humo, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say that at some point, and you could see this in the video, and Peter, he was saying that he wasn't seeing any helicopters or anything, but at some point in my video, you could see that there is I'm filming, and there is a helicopter, an NYPD helicopter flew right above me and below one of the spheres, and I was comparing, the distance from where I was to the helicopter and the helicopter to the sphere, and if you could compare and the video could be analyzed, you could see that the sphere probably was almost the same size as the helicopter compared to the distance from where I was on the helicopter. So that's one of the things that also it's not it doesn't match with people saying that they were balloons or anything like that. And I think some people also are just afraid to face the truth, and people hide behind these stories and stuff like that. And people should really start thinking by themselves and feeling with their heart, what this could really be, not just put it in their little reality and think that this is just something so normal and something that is very familiar to us. But people should really start feeling that probably, and this is something very probable. We're not alone in the universe, and these beings are probably really here, and they want to contact humanity. And maybe people should start getting ready for this, because I think it's going to happen very soon. And as you could see, the numerous sightings have been taking off recently. There have been so many sightings throughout the whole planet, and everyone's talking about it. The UN, I think they've been talking about possible contact, and they're talking about extraterrestrial bacteria, life outside of our planet, and they don't talk directly about having contact with an extraterrestrial intelligent life beings, but it's just, I think all this is happening just in preparation for what is coming, and people having to have their mind open to take these beings into our consciousness and into our reality, and just be prepared, because I think something amazing is about to happen in our reality, and everything is about to transform.
So what do you think it was that you both were seeing then? Do you think that they were ships? Do you think that they were organic beings? What do you think? What do you feel it was you saw?
They look.
I feel that the one that the yellow object that was really big, a lot of these beings have been seen in Mexico a lot, and this is the first time that I actually see one of these ships or objects being seen in North America. But I know that they're being seen all the time in Mexico, and they call them biological entities, organic entities. So I feel that they could be ships that are alive, and they have they could have consciousness and everything, and they could be conscious, and they could just be something so different to what we're used to believe a craft could be. It doesn't necessarily have to be something mechanic or something that is solid. It could just be a pure energy, organic being that could also have beings inside or spheres, because they could be so different from us. And so I think that these beings that were hovering over New York City were this kind of craft, and also the spheres, what other people call orbs. I think they were also energy craft ships.
Okay, and Astro, what do you feel about what you've seen that day in New York? What do you feel about it?
I agree with Umo about the Abanis, because we see videos from Mexico. They see first of all, in Mexico, they see UFOs, they see lightships every day. And in this country too, but a lot more in Mexico. And in more recent viewings, people have been reporting something new. It's not really new. I don't know if we could say that it's new, but people have been seeing new crafts in the sky, and they are called Ivanis, and they are believed to be alive and conscious. And when we look at the video that Umo recorded, it very closely resembles these Ivanis. It's spelled Ebanis, and anyone who's curious about it can look it up. There's plenty of videos on YouTube about Ivanis, but they're bright, they're colorful, and they move. And in my opinion, they move very gracefully, and they're beautiful. And the video that Umo recorded very closely resembles the Ivanis.
Were either of you able to see where the craft went to? Because I know that in the one shot, it's right by the Empire State Building. Did either of you happen to see like how it left? Did it just kind of fade out, or did it dissipate, or what happened?
Is that question for me?
For both of you.
Well, like I said, I had to be moving my car, so I couldn't really see if they stayed there. But I remember at some point I had to go on to the FDR, which is like the highway on the east side of the city. And I remember that when I was crossing to drive onto the FDR, because I remember that it was in the beginning I saw one of these the yellow object that was like a really big one. But then I remember when I was going onto the FDR, another one came above the buildings, and I thought, oh, maybe this is like chasing me or something. But of course, like I just kept filming it, like as you could see in the video, at the end of the video, like this object kind of started flying towards the east side, and that's when I could film the other sphere right next to it. So that was the last one I saw when I was on the east side of the city. And it's very interesting what Peter was saying, because he says that only people who were on 23rd and 8th could see them, but I was actually on the east side of the city and I could see them from there too. And but I really didn't see anybody else looking up at the sky, and I didn't really see anybody else that were seeing what I was filming. So yeah, but that was the last time when I saw them, when I went all the way up to the east side of the city.
Okay, Astro, like, when did you see them? Like, when they moved away, did they disappear, or what was your view on what you saw?
Well, I actually wasn't in the city when this was happening. Again, I was on my roof, and I was able to observe them for some time before they disappeared. However, I just wanted to also bring up that New York wasn't the only city that saw these lights in the sky. Also, in the same day, there were reports in China. There were reports in San Francisco, and so New York wasn't the only city that witnessed this. But yeah,
I did see a video from, I think it was Galveston, Texas, and I can't remember the name of the YouTube channel, but I did come across a video where they filmed on the 13th a strikingly similar object to what's in Umor's videos, and I just basically went and Googled on, or not, just did searches on YouTube for, UFOs on the 13th, and people were saying that, like in Vermont and in Texas and other places, that things were going on the same day. So I know something happened in China, or where was it? They tried to say like a city disappeared or something. So But what are they saying on the news now?